Cold email is currently going through one of its worst crises of all time, something that you all may or may not have heard of, and it's known as the cold email deliverability crisis. What that means is that the majority of your emails are probably landing in spam, essentially killing your cold email campaigns and destroying your company's lead flow. Now, lucky for you, I've tested out over 20 different campaign setups and cold email infrastructure setups, different techniques, and we've been able to come up with a winning formula that has boosted our cold email deliverability back up to 98%. Now, this new format is an absolute must if you want to start sending emails again and signing clients through cold email. And I've broken down this winning formula into 3 steps, so I'm gonna walk you through them step by step. Make sure to stick around for the entire video because missing any single aspect of this could result in your emails continuing to land in spam. Without further ado, let's jump into step number 1. So step number 1, I'm not going to get all too into the technicals of it, but it revolves around the domain and the email setup itself. If you already have email accounts and domains set up, I highly encourage you to just go ahead and purchase new domains and pretty much start your process from scratch. It's just gonna save you a whole lot of headache of going through all of your other domains and email accounts that you've already set up. The odds are that many of those are already burned, and you're just gonna save yourself a lot of headache by starting from step 1 again. So I like to go ahead and purchase my domains directly from Pork Bun. It's very easy, user-friendly, but the big thing that I want to stress is that when you're setting up your email accounts, you need to do a 50-50 split between Outlook accounts and Gmail accounts. The reason being is that email server providers has really cracked down on cold emailers, and you never know what's going to happen with an email server provider. 6 months ago, Gmail was having a whole bunch of issues and people thought that cold emailing on Gmail accounts was dead. Then they switched over to Outlook accounts, and here we are 6 months later, everybody's saying Outlook is dead. The truth is, nobody can ever guess what's going to happen, but by diversifying your portfolio of email accounts 50-50, you're not putting all your marbles into one jar, and you also get to use a function on Smart Leads, which we're going to walk through in step 2, which essentially sends Gmail emails to Gmail users, Outlook emails to Outlook users. Another thing that I want to mention is when you're setting up your cold email accounts and you've purchased your new domains, you need to make sure that you're plugging in the proper DNS settings. That's going to be your SPF, your DKIM, and your DMARC custom name records. If you don't know how to set those all up, just check in the description below. In our school community, we'll actually walk you through the step-by-step actions you need to take to set up email accounts on Gmail with the Google Workspace or on Outlook with an admin panel. Another thing that I want to mention as you're setting up these email accounts is you cannot have too many different email accounts and active users on each of those workspaces or admin panels. The reason being is that the email servers can pretty quickly tell if somebody's got 50 different variations of the same or close to the same different domains. It's likely that that person is sending mass cold emails, and you want to avoid that. I like to limit each workspace to about 20 users maximum. So if you were to set up 40 new email accounts, that means you could have 20 domains, 2 email accounts for each of those domains. I would set up 20 of those email accounts on Gmail through a Google Workspace. I would set up the other 20 email accounts on Outlook through an admin panel. Now, after you've set up your new domains, you've purchased them, you've plugged in your custom name records, and you've set up your email accounts, you need to plug those email accounts into an email sending software like SmartLead, and you need to begin the warm-up period. The warm-up period is a feature that allows the tool like SmartLead to send fake emails on your behalf that essentially builds up credibility of your domains because they're brand new accounts, and in order to start cold emailing people, they need to have a good reputation. So the warm-up tool will actually send fake emails back and forth, making it look like you're emailing people and receiving emails in return. And that builds up your credibility. And it's very important to give it 2 full weeks before you start sending any at all physical emails. Now, after that 2-week warm-up period is over, you still just can't start immediately blasting out cold emails. You need to have a gradual ramp-up period of the emails that you're sending. That means on the first week after that warm-up period, you send 5 emails a day per account. On week 2, you're going to want to send 10 emails per day per account. On week 3, you could send 15 to 20 emails per account. And then you want to cap the amount of sending of how many emails are going out per inbox to 25 emails a day at a maximum. I know back in the day, you used to be able to send 50 to 60 emails per account and be okay. It's just not the same anymore. You need to play it safe and limit the amount of emails that you're physically sending to 25 emails a day per email account. And that's after you've warmed up your emails for 2 weeks. And then after you gradually increase your email sending to that amount. Moving on to step 2. Now we're actually talking about the email sending itself. So one thing that I had mentioned is setting up your email accounts with the 50-50 split with Gmail accounts and Outlook accounts. And lucky for you, Smart Leads takes care of the email sending, and you need to actually match the ESP providers by clicking a checkbox within Smart Lead. You could see it right here in the image above. And what that's going to do is it's going to send Gmail email accounts to Gmail users, Outlook email accounts to Outlook users, essentially optimizing your email deliverability sending, because if you're sending a Gmail email to an Outlook user, there's always a higher likelihood that that email is just not going to be delivered, a higher likelihood of it bouncing. So by using Smart Leads matching ESP function, it'll take care of that for you. And I highly want to stress and highly recommend doing that because we've done it and we've noticed that boost in our deliverability to 98%, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video. One thing that I do want to stress, or there's a couple of things I want to stress, but another thing that I want to focus on is that you need to make sure that the people that you're reaching out to are actually relevant prospects to the solution that you're trying to sell. There's no better way to get marked as spam than reaching out to the wrong person and hitting them up with a 4 to 5 step email sequence that's automated when they have no business receiving that email to begin with. So you want to make sure that you're reaching out to the people from the right industry, people with the right job title, and you want to make sure that with that lead list, aside from, making sure that it's accurate, you need to make sure that the emails are also valid, verified email addresses. You don't want to be reaching out to people that don't have an active email address. And so anytime you build out a lead list, I would run it through a tool like Million Verifier or Zero Bounce. And what that's going to do is it's going to send fake emails to those addresses and basically let you know if they're safe to send to or if they're not. Another thing that I want to mention is that with those lead lists, you also want to make sure that you're cleaning them and formatting the company names properly by including different subtitles or different endings to a company name like BuzzLead LLC or Nick and Co. All those different things are spam trigger words. So you want to make sure that the email is validated, verified, and then the company names are cleaned and formatted properly. You also want to remove any sort of emojis or symbols that are also going to be big spam triggers. It's a lot higher of a likelihood that you're going to get flagged as spam if you have different emojis or symbols within the company names. Another step that I want to emphasize here is going heavy on spin tags. For those of you that don't know what spin tags is essentially you just using cool different formatting, different brackets within your copywriting that sends the same message in a whole bunch of different variations. And what you're doing is you're sending the same message, but it looks different because it's worded differently. And what you're doing is you're fooling the email servers into thinking that you're sending a custom email to every single prospect, because one way to get flagged as spam very quickly and easily is if you're sending the same exact message with the same copywriting 10,000 times. By using spin tags throughout your entire cold email campaign, that means the subject line, the intro, the body, the call to actions, the PS lines, the signatures. There's essentially no way to really detect if you're sending the same email or spamming people because every message is going to come across differently. And you can just look at the image above, that I've shown you. That's essentially how we're putting an emphasis on spin tags. And ever since we implemented that, our deliverability has gone through the roof. So I highly recommend that you use it throughout your entire campaign and the scripts. Another point that I want to touch on here is keeping your emails, short, your sequences short and concise. Even myself included, we used to send 4 to 5 step email sequences because you never know if, somebody is going to bite on the 4th or 5th email. And I just think there's no need to do that anymore. I think you should keep your email sequences 2 to 3 steps maximum, because the majority of people who respond to your emails are going to respond to emails 1 and 2 and sometimes 3, but you're not really going to have too much luck by reaching out to somebody for the 4th and 5th time. Odds are if they didn't respond to the first 3 emails, they probably have no interest in your solution. And even if they do, you could reach out to them at another time. But by continuing to have these long, sequences with 4 or 5 steps, you're just skyrocketing the likelihood of people marking you as spam. And then in addition to that, you're wasting a lot of your email credits and your leads and the volume of how much emails you could send, because instead of reaching out to new people, you're continuously hitting up the people that already haven't shown any interest. So keep those email sequences, 2 to 3 steps max, and I guarantee you're just going to have more luck. Now, the last thing on the sending itself is you've got to constantly be monitoring your cold email accounts and your campaigns. take a look at your campaign performance. Like I had mentioned before, you want to cap the amount of emails you send per day to 25 emails a day, but you want to take a look at your bounce rate and make sure that you're keeping your bounce rate of your campaigns under 3%. If you notice that your campaign bounce rate is above 3%, something's not right. Either your lead list is not clean, the emails aren't validated or verified, or maybe the email accounts just haven't had ample time to warm up and you started sending too many emails way too quickly. If you notice it's over 3%, pause your campaigns, clean your lead list again, verify those leads, clean and format the company names, and then you could safely resume your campaign. If it's still an issue, then you might need to dissect it a little bit further and take a look to see if you're on any blacklists or maybe something else. Maybe your domain has just burned. But that's really it to wrap up, part number 2 with the sending of the emails itself. And point number 3 that I want to stress that nobody else is talking about is rotating your inboxes to keep your domains and email accounts fresh. What that means is you want to have some additional email accounts, and I'll paint a picture for you. Because let's just pretend that for myself, I have 40 email accounts that I use for cold emailing, and 20 of those email accounts are on Outlook, 20 of those email accounts are on Gmail. When I'm running cold email campaigns, I don't want to just use all 40 of those accounts on a never-ending basis and just continue using them. You can, but I've noticed that it really just does put some wear and tear on your domains and your email accounts. And the best way to keep your domains fresh and your email accounts fresh is you want to rotate your inboxes with every campaign. That means for campaign in month 1, you're going to use 20 of those 40 email accounts. Then on campaign 2, during month 2, you'll use the other 20 email accounts. The 20 email accounts that are not being used are just going to be using the warm-up tool and essentially sending those fake emails back and forth. They're cooling down from getting marked as spam from prospects that you're reaching out to. And the warm-up tool is building credibility back and making sure that your emails are fresh, crispy, and ready to be sent when you launch them for the next campaign. So just to reiterate, what I mean by that is every campaign, you're rotating the email accounts that you're using. The email accounts that you're not using, you want to be using the warm-up tool to just send emails back and forth and build credibility. And with every campaign, you rotate and rotate and rotate. This might sound tedious and very confusing, but I promise you it helps with deliverability tenfold, and it's a whole lot better to have extra email accounts and some sitting there collecting dust for a month than it is to just have to continuously be resetting up new accounts, new domains, and starting the whole process over and over again. So to reiterate, we've talked about the domain and email account setup. We've talked about the sending itself. So set up the 50-50 split of Gmail accounts, Outlook accounts on new domains that you've purchased. Give them a full 2-week warm up to start. You want to make sure that you're matching ESP providers with the emails that you're sending. You want to make sure that the lead lists that you're using are clean, validated, formatted correctly. You want to make sure that you're heavily using spin tags. You also want to make sure that you're rotating inboxes. Keep your cold email campaign short and sweet, 2 to 3 step sequences max. Cap your sending to 25 emails a day per email account and rotate those inboxes. Every other month, you're going to use the other alternative email accounts. And I promise you, if you were to follow all these, you are going to be in a really good position and start signing clients and scaling your business with cold email. And that's really a wrap on everything. If you follow these steps, then I guarantee you will start having success with your cold email campaigns. But one thing that I do want to note is that cold email deliverability is just one tiny aspect of a massive lead generation process. And lucky for you, I actually just put together a full video guide breakdown that's going over some of the most common pitfalls and mistakes that people make when it relates to cold email and things that you need to do to avoid those. So make sure to stick around for that video. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you enjoyed this one. I'll see you in the next one, guys.